Welcome to the official YouTube channel of Eternia.com. I'm your host, AJ, and Skeletor is not Keldor, but a demon from another dimension in the Masters of the Universe Revelation continuity, at least for now. Skeletor is a demon from another dimension. No, Skeletor is Keldor, Prince Adam's uncle. The origin of Skeletor has been an object of many debates ever since the 2002 reboot series, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, aired on Cartoon Network, and established an alternate origin for the villain, where Skeletor was depicted as the evil blue-skinned Keldor, disfigured by a vial of acid. Even though Keldor's family relation to Randor and Adam was never actually depicted in that series, more on that later, some fans liked the idea of Skeletor being Adam's uncle and King Randor's half-brother, and enjoyed the whole tragic family dynamic. Other fans found it to be cliché, having both hero and villain in the same family, especially after introducing She-Ra as a surprise twin, and criticized it for shrinking the universe. Whichever origin one might prefer, what was the nature of Skeletor's origin in Masters of the Universe Revelation, you ask? In the historic beginnings of Masters of the Universe, Skeletor was birthed upon the world and into childhood imaginations as a demonic wizard from another dimension. Referred to as the Lord of Destruction, this blue-skinned, yellow-skulled wizard with beastly feet established himself as the most threatening villain to He-Man and the citizens of Eternia. As depicted in this very first 1982 mini-comic, copyrighted in 1981, which came included with the very first Masters of the Universe action figures, Skeletor was revealed to be a being from another dimension, where he lived with others of his kind. The origin of Skeletor from the mini-comics was mostly carried over to the character's television series debut in the 1983 Filmation classic show, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. In the series Bible written by Michael Halperin on December 1st, 1982, which was the internal guide used by episode writers to keep the stories consistent, Skeletor is described as a demon from the dimension named Infinita. Then, in 1983, Filmation premiered a one-hour special titled The Greatest Adventures of All, which introduced audiences to the world of Eternia, the heroics of He-Man, and the villainy of Skeletor. And in that first airing, the sorcerers explained to the world that Skeletor was a demon from another dimension.
That is Skeletor, demon from another dimension. There are many sinister beings who threaten Eternia, but none so powerful as Skeletor.
Skeletor was also referred to as a demon by other characters throughout the 130 episodes of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, like when Man-at-Arms called Skeletor a demon in the episode The Time Corridor.
Skeletor! The demon is building a fortress!
Even Queen Marlena recognized Skeletor as a demon in the episode titled The Rainbow Warrior.
Skeletor demands unconditional surrender. He wants the royal palace.
Never. If that demon thinks we will surrender so easily, he'd better think again.
Viewers were even lucky to receive a glimpse of Skeletor's probable home in the episode The Taking of Grayskull, where Skeletor was able to steal Castle Grayskull and transport it into his own dimension. In that episode, Skeletor's dimension appeared wonderfully odd and colorful outside of the stolen Castle Grayskull, but was never actually given the name Infinita, like it was indicated in the series Bible, so it remained a nameless dimension.
He-Man, you're a fool if you think you can stop me here. Now we're playing in my dimension, and I make all the rules.
So what about Skeletor in Masters of the Universe Revelation? Is he a demon from another dimension in that series too? The answer is yes. Since the 1983 Filmation series, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe spiritually shares its continuity with the 2021 Netflix series Masters of the Universe Revelation, it makes sense that the Revelation Skeletor is also a demon from another dimension. This is why in the Netflix intro in that series, Skeletor is referred to as a demon.
Snake Mantle. sanctuary of sin and sorrow, ruled by the demon Skeletor and his evil acolytes.
Skeletor's Skull God also refers to himself as an interdimensional demon when he's fighting Savage He-Man.
Grayskull's store of secrets is even more vast than this interdimensional demon can dream!
Just looking at the feet of Skeletor in Masters of the Universe Revelation is a clear indicator that Skeletor is not human. And in the second issue of the official Masters of the Universe Revelation prequel comic series, released by Dark Horse Comics, story by Kevin Smith and Rob David, and scripts by Tim Sheridan, all writers from the show, we get to see the demon Skeletor's home dimension and Skeletor even having a family. But instead of the dimension remaining nameless, it is given a name. And it is Hordak that enlightens Skeletor that there are so many more dimensions and worlds other than his own. When Evelyn questions his honesty while Skeletor recounts these events, Skeletor later reveals an amulet from that history, revealing its apparent truth. Now you know that Skeletor is a demon from another dimension in the Masters of the Universe Revelation continuity. Postscript 1 of 2, Keldor. If you're curious about the true genesis behind the Keldor-Skeletor origin, it spawned from one of the last mini-comics ever to be released with the vintage Masters of the Universe figures. Titled The Search for Keldor, this 1987 mini-comic, copyright 1986, was released after the Filmation series was completed, which teased an unclear connection between Skeletor and Keldor, King Randor's missing brother. The story was never continued, and the connection between Skeletor and Keldor was vague, but the fan theories and possibilities were endless. At the most, perhaps Skeletor and Keldor could be the same person. At the very least, Skeletor knows what happened to Keldor and might even be directly involved with his disappearance. Or perhaps Keldor was transformed into one of the monstrous henchmen that serve him. Or maybe, just maybe, Keldor simply figured out Skeletor's kryptonite, so to speak, the way to defeat Skeletor once and for all. So Skeletor banished Keldor to another dimension before it could be revealed. But if Keldor ever figured out the way to return, it would be Skeletor's undoing. Later, He-Man.org, in an interview no longer available online, caught up with the mini-comics writer Stephen Grant and asked about Mattel's intent with Keldor. Grant revealed that even though the thought was Skeletor and Keldor was indeed the same person, and Mattel was going after that Darth Vader-type narrative, it was the writer's belief it would never actually be revealed. Here is what Stephen Grant had to say, quote, "As far as I remember, Keldor was Skeletor, but I don't think that was ever going to be revealed. I seem to remember it as one of those things Mattel came up with out of the blue. Slur Keldor and you end up with Skeletor. His backstory wasn't really worked out. Some sort of evil cosmic energies altered him. I think they were going for a Darth Vader thing, but it was a tack on." End quote. The Mike Young 2002 reboot series took this tack on idea, though, and ran with it. But ironically, this series was canceled before reveals were made yet again. Yes, the series never indicated that Keldor/Skeletor was actually the half-brother to King Randor. It was only mentioned later in a home video DVD biography supplemental. Postscript 2 of 2. Anything can happen. With a follow-up sequel now in the works titled Masters of the Universe Revolution, it's always important to caveat and remember that with any given continued narrative, it is what it is until it isn't. Meaning, it is always good to have an acceptance of the current reality with the understanding that things can be subject to change at any time. For instance, He-Man, at one point in time, did not have a twin sister sibling named She-Ra until one day he did. Why we are caveating this is, years ago, the Classics toy line came up with the idea of blending both the demon and Keldor origins of Skeletor. The story goes, Hordak had merged the demon named Demo Man and Keldor together, with the end result becoming the Skeletor we know and love in that Classics continuity. Could follow-up stories in the Revelation Revolution continuity also attempt the same type of demon Keldor merging in a future flashback tale? We don't know, but anything is possible. Well, that's it. I want to thank you all for watching. and we'll see you next time.